What's up, everybody? It is the Messiah, Razzle Dazzle, on your screen. So, first things first, I want to go ahead and thank you guys for coming to the channel. Definitely like, subscribe, and fucking share this shit, man. Turn off this laptop shit. First, go ahead and subscribe to or become a member of our AO Global. This is basically the address to it. It's on our Discord. Come here and come to the shit talk room. I'm here all the effing time, all times of the hour. If you live in the UK, I'm there. If you live in Australia, I'm there. If you're in America, I'm there. Okay. You can ask me questions there. I will talk shit because it is a shit talk room, and I love my shit talk room. Don't join the other the Age of Origins Discord that has like 50,000 trolls and all kind of people, because that's not a good Discord to go to. Just go into this one. Definitely understand that when you're going to ours, it's basically gonna be a quality based Discord where all the best players, the strongest players, medium and mid-range players, long-range players, whatever, are in there. Okay, so the most knowledgeable people are in this Discord. This is where you want to go, period. Don't go nowhere else. As me, I am Raziel. I am the formations build guide. I basically am the go-to guy. But before I dig into all that, I want to go ahead and thank all of my friends, my haters, my fans, my nation, and AO Global, obviously. I had sustained a really bad injury about 2 weeks ago. We got in a car accident where I wasn't wearing my seatbelt, and I was leaving. We were leaving the club, and my buddy was dropping me off by my car. So I took my seatbelt off to jump out the car, to jump in my car, and somebody smashed into the car before I, opened the door, and my head hit the windshield really bad, and I was knocked out. I couldn't even wake up to the next day. So that happened. The dude tried running, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, so. That happened. So I developed a speech impediment and I couldn't talk properly. So I developed a really bad lisp, and it was like the same kind of lisp that I had when I was a kid. And it kind of came back because of the brain injury that the concussion that I had. It was a really bad concussion. But I'm getting better. I'm about 90%. It's all good, man. I could go ahead and say that, I'm feeling better enough to do this. If you want to learn about your castle, how to be improved, how to become a better player, how to do it for a fraction of the cost, how to do it a lot cheaper and a lot better, focus spending, if you may, is what I call it. Then definitely come see me. This is basically my Discord right here. You could definitely contact me. Come see me. But understand that if it's one or two questions, a few questions here and there, I don't have a problem answering one or two questions here. But if you're trying to ask me a ton of questions, want me to dive in, look at your castle, study your castle, tell you what to work on, what to do, what not to do, just come see me, man. I'll have to charge you if you want me to make you a player's guide on your build. And if you want to look at your castle and dissect it and do everything, and do a proper step-by-step build and how to get there, that's a player's guide. That costs, but you could definitely go see my other video on this, and definitely just watch that video and it explains a little bit more. As far as taking an hour or two of my time, I don't mind doing that as well. That's just a tip. That's just tips. Like, you just to pay me whatever you felt my time was worth. Because it will save you thousands, tens of thousands, even sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars if you do it the way I'm telling you. So moving along from that, a little brief history. This is a mid-range video. It's going to teach you guys how to combat mid-rangers and how to be more effective. A little bit of history about it, and dark secret of mine is I actually was the first mid-ranger in this game. I started this game in 2018. I started about a month after it came out. I started in Globe 1. And basically, I started playing around with the rocket guys because I'll never forget it. I was playing Call of Duty, and I was trying to get the rockets gold in Call of Duty and Diamond. And I started playing this game, which is a false advertisement. We all came for this shit for like the turret defense shit, and it ended up being so much more. And then I ended up putting this build together with 6 other guys that were like kind of asking me about it, what I was doing. They started learning, getting bits and pieces and advice from me and what I was doing. And then ultimately it became as popular as it is now. So in a way, I guess I am the Adam and Eve of the build itself. I guess never thought that it would, people would do so many weird variations of it. And then I'm just like, dude, what the fuck? Y'all are doing it all wrong. But, we'll cover that another day. There are some fraudulent players in this game. that basically act like they know, what it is, and they, try to say that they know this, they know that, but all that knowledge is basically a derivative passed down from generation to generation that originally starts with me. So I am the formations guy, stat guy, strategy guide. All the other YouTubers about this game, they're either newer or whatever, but I've had many years of playing this game. I was an official AOO vet for Camel until I got fired, but it's all good. I don't give a fuck. So, and I've been, I'm not sponsored by Camel, so this message is not sponsored by Camel in any way, so it's not going to tell you what to buy and what not to buy or anything crazy like that. And they definitely don't support me, and it's all good. I don't give a shit. So this video is going to go ahead and show you how to combat mid-rangers, how to reinforce against mid-rangers, how to deal with them in the uranium mine, how to handle them when you need to handle them, because basically this is a video that's been a long time coming. I started with Anti-Midrange Part 1, Part 2. That's all of my YouTube videos. I didn't come out with Part 3 for years because the game kept changing so fast, but now I think it's time for me to properly come out with a guide that actually shows you how to fight them. For the mid-rangers, they're like, why, if you made this, why are you coming out with this? Please don't do this. Like, listen, guys, you got a lot of y'all motherfuckers have been real arrogant, bro, and honestly, this is just a punishment from your creator, which is basically all y'all's builds are a variation of what I made. So y'all technically are my children, if you look back at it, and y'all just gotta get disciplined, man. Like y'all gotta stop all this shit and become more humble. You know what I'm saying? So don't worry. We're gonna once I come out with this video, I will come out with a guide for mid-rangers down the line on how to improve and how to combat long rangers more effectively when they learn this stuff, so that we go back and forth. So yeah, guys, watch this video. It is an hour-long segment, maybe almost an hour long. I'm gonna try to consolidate this a little bit less, but yeah, man, I appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned. You will become a better player when you watch this. Don't skip through it, because if you skip, there's gonna be certain segments that are gonna be like very detailed and explaining what the troops do, their functions, what to use against them, what's a troop that can harass them better, deal with them, and how to properly fight them. And then a little bit of some uranium mine battles with me versus a maxed out mid-ranger. As you know, I'm like 70% maxed out. And this guy is like super maxed out, 45 Titans, almost 55 plane. I'm like 41 Titans and 44 plane or whatever, but all this other stuff, and I'm not even maxed out on my stats either. So, yeah, we'll go through that, and yeah, tell me in the comments below how you like this video. Now let's begin. The entire video is going to be broken down into a couple of parts: the troops that they use, their functions, what to use to counter them, what is the mid-ranger's weakness, and how much do you need to focus into beating them. So before we dive in a little bit deeper into that, I want to go ahead and just give out a brief disclaimer here, and this is very important for everybody to listen. In this game, there's a lot of people and wannabes that claim that they know a lot. They have this hand-me-down knowledge from other people. These kind of players have gone around and try to talk about my name basically to build up clout, and try to become famous or just well known based off my name alone. And these kind of players just basically have given people the wrong advice. They don't really know what they're talking about. They do have basic knowledge from hand-me-down knowledge that ultimately basically derives from me, because obviously I was the first mid-ranger to ever do this. Basically, this is the same players that come from that sellout nation that we call 567. 567, as you know, actually has a player by the name of Bo Sleazy, is what I like to call him, but he goes by God Dark now, or whatever his name is. This player right here has gone around and spread BS that he knows about mid-range, that mid-range is superior, that melee defense is this is that they do this, that Raziel's an idiot and all this stuff. But this player truly does not know exactly what he's saying. He has no idea how to build castles. He has hand-me-down knowledge from other players that basically it all trickled down from me at the end of the day, and then they did their own variations of it. Do not listen to this player whatsoever. Whenever this player speaks my name, do not even pay any mind to him. He doesn't really understand this game at all, and the advice he's given everybody has been pretty crappy. I'm actually in his nation right now, and I've been working with Kratos a little bit, and helping him out with his castle a little bit because he refuses to help him out because he doesn't really know what he's doing anyway. So that's basically what I wanted to cover in this little segment. Do not listen to Bo Deasy and any of his stuff. He claims that he knows a lot. He really doesn't know squat. And that's just what I wanted to cover. I'm just kind of like over the fact that this player constantly speaks my name just to try to build clout. Kind of like Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem when Machine Gun Kelly was sitting there running his mouth, trying to get famous, you know what I'm saying? And Eminem clapped back. Well, this is your clap back, son. This is your moment. So this is as big as you're going to get, baby. You know what I'm saying? So I hope you enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? So okay, so now that we covered that and we exposed some fraudsters and morons that just absolutely don't know this game at all. So let's begin, all right? We're going to go ahead and cover the troops that they use, the functions that they do, and the most popular ones that they typically use on formations. So for now, we're going to go ahead and cover the rocket launchers, the fanatic terminators, the rocket guys, pyromasters, whatever you want to call them. This has always been one of the mid-rangers' go-to guys before the stormtroopers. These guys are actually very effective. They actually have a shot that basically triggers and fires to the back line. Overshoot, every 3 attacks will cast an overshoot, dealing tons of damage to a single enemy, and prioritize attacking the enemy's back row within range. Remember that, within range. Okay, single enemy. Remember that part as well. Okay, so these guys typically are used by the mid-rangers to ultimately go for shielders, EMPs, snipers. But the way you counter these guys is fairly easy. You could typically use the cannons on them. The cannons, whether it's like Doomsdays or the Death Cannons, you can actually still use the Doomsdays on them and actually still beat them because it actually suppresses their firepower. The cannons are actually the range of the attack on the cannons is really unmatched. It's 4. It's 4. So that's like this is literally the longest firing piece of weaponry they have to offer. Now we're gonna go ahead and cover the quick shot status and what it does and what it looks like when they're doing it. And I'm going to slow down the video as well so you can clearly see what happens when you put in cannons. All right, so we're going to go ahead and reset this battle right here. So look real closely. The rockets just fired right there. So let's see. Go ahead. Firing. Okay, they got silence right there. Okay, they're unsilenced. Let me see. And should be coming. There it is right there. You saw how I went for the EMPs, but it ignored the cannon. So that's what it is right there. I'm going to slow that shit down a little bit more so you can see that. Watch. There you go right there. Boom. Hit the EMPs. So, yep, that's what they target. So they never do this exactly because the cannons are in far range. Their range is so far that the rockets cannot reach them. The only way that the rockets can start reaching the cannons is when the front line's mostly depleted. Now, you don't have to, like, even if it's a T-12 rocket, you don't need to run T-13 cannons to beat them. You can literally beat them with Doomsday cannons. They literally just get wrecked by these things. So whenever you see a rocket-based mid-ranger and you're a C-36 or a C-37 and you have snipers, just take the snipers out and then just run Doomsday cannons. And what will happen is their special is only going to focus the front line. Now, let me show you how that looks, okay? All right, now in this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you the special of the troopers and the rockets. Now, right there, you saw the little orbs that went across the map screen right there. That's basically what it typically attacks and harasses your Titans a little bit. That's why it's very important that you have to divide your DPS among it. Now, I'm going to slow it down a little bit more, and you'll see. It's going to hit it again. There you go, right there. You saw it. Now the rockets. Watch real closely on the rockets. Really quick. You see the special right there? You see the rockets right there? Those are rockets that typically go for back row, but because I have the cannons in, he can't. So it focuses on the front line right there. I slowed it down nice for you guys. So, what's the verdict? How do you feel about them? Well, I can tell you right now. Rocket-based mid-rangers are actually a very popular troop among them. They're very awesome for attacking. Whenever the people are hitting, you're hitting castles from behind. Ultimately, you know, it's a very solid pick for a mid-ranger. Um, and I give them kudos, but as long as you know how to fight these guys straight up, understand basic, troop formation, and know some razzle dazzle jutsu, you'll be able to actually hang with these guys and also beat them, even when they're stronger than you. The idea and the understanding and the logic of understanding what these guys do and how to counter them is extremely important. So, as you know, these troops are single base troops. They attack, and they focus what we call a single type troop. When they do a special, they focus one troop alone. So a good tip, and this is a very good tip to deal with them, is that give them many troops to attack. Put more fillers in there. Have more fillers in there to deal with them, so that whenever they're shooting, they're actually sending, their specials to cannon fodder. Make sure that it's beefy enough as far as population goes on your cannon fodder, so that basically the Titan's electricity does not, delete them so quickly. So yeah, I mean, whenever you see, I guess another tip I can give you guys for this is also like whenever the mid range is using a lot of heavy front line, just look at that. If you're using a lot of heavy front line and not as much middle row, then that means that they're banking on their front line to last and try to overcome you that way, and they're not doing too much DPS. DPS, for many people that doesn't know, is damage per second. Okay, so whenever you have to just look. Okay, so if they're doing a lot of front line, that means that they're doing less DPS and they're depending on their front line to carry them. But the problem is, if you put enough front line just to hold the battle long enough, their weaknesses are going to be exposed, and I'll get to that later on this subject. But we're going to go ahead and cover the stormtroopers now. But another full counter and final counter for the Rockets also is whenever you're dealing with them in voids and things like that, look at what kind of mid-ranger you're fighting. For example, if you are fighting a C-38 mid-ranger, he's got 1500 MRA. I would recommend you just fighting him with T12 troops. And some T11s. Like, for example, if he's gonna come in, I would reinforce with T11 or T12 shredders, and going with zombies, and then going with full with cannons. The cannons will basically really set them, really mess them up, because they won't be able to get any kills from the backline. They'll just kill the cannon fodder around the castles, and they won't get a lot of kills that way. But understanding that, and also letting your lower tier castles know this is extremely important, because the lower tier castles, like for example T10 and T11s, when they're going in to reinforce, and you got these godlike battles going on, what happens is when you're reinforcing, those troops are dying extremely quick, because the rockets are basically targeting that back row. So if you got a tier tech X coming in with snipers, he's gonna eat, baby. He is going to eat. So just make sure they understand the logic. Even if he wants to use like tier 9 cannons to help with that, do that. But understand that formation is key. Do not feed them, because that's basically how the mid-rangers get a lot of kills. People say, oh, the mid-rangers get a lot of kills. They do this, they do that. They only get a lot of kills because they exploit the knowledge that long rangers do not have, and they do it in a way where they gimp you. That's what it is, a gimp you build. Okay, so now that we've covered this, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the stormtroopers. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and cover the stormtroopers. As far as HP, defense, and attack, they're slightly higher than the Rockets, but the Rockets actually have the longest range on them, because the range on the Stormtrooper is 2.2 versus the Rockets, which are essentially 2.5. The Rockets can actually truly get to the back line from the front row. The Stormtroopers work a little bit different, and I'm going to show you why. They actually have a skill that's called electromagnetic conduction, which is basically their 3-shot. They're basically the EMPs of the mid-range world. Now, how do you deal with them? So it's very, very simple to dealing with these guys, because these guys aren't what they're cracked up to be anymore, like when they were in C-35. Basically, what they're gonna do is they're gonna go ahead and bank on these guys to basically to kill your Titans. And the way you counter that is basically having 2 or 3 different types of back row, with just enough cushion in the back row, so that whenever they get to whenever they get through the front lines, that 3 shot does not go into your Titans. It actually gets suppressed at the front, or in the middle, or in the back row division of the DPS, which it could consist of snipers, cannons, EMPs, etc. Now, these guys are pretty cool. When I was a mid-ranger, they were pretty dope back then. They still do the same functions. The difference is they're actually, how you say, less effective as they were, because, mid-range has been nerfed ever since the Titans came out. So, these guys, I'll go ahead and show you a couple of videos of what they actually do. Their 3-shot, I'm going to go ahead and slow motion that, so that you can see how effective that 3-shot is, and how to prevent it from getting a lot of kills and cheap kills and things like that. So let's begin. Now, in this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you right here the 3 orbs. I'm rewinding it back and forth so you can see the 3 orbs right there. One of them's hitting my female, the other one's hitting my male, and then the other one's hitting my death cannons. Okay, so in this fight, you'll also see the rockets do their thing and do their special and stuff like that. But that's basically the 3-shot right there, and it's very important to make sure you get another type of back row DPS, so that it can suppress that fire a little bit better when you're fighting them. But again, if you notice the rock, he splits his DPS, but there's also a counter for that, because his rockets can't even hit the death cannons anyway, obviously, as you know. So in the next clip right here, where I'm going to show you right here, you'll notice that I actually numbered the 3 little 3-shot orbs, so that you can see clearly where they're going, and how many of them they are. They always attack. They'll always attack. The middle row and the front row when the front line is depleted. Then they'll start aiming for the back row. But again, as long as you have multiple DPSs in the back, they shouldn't be a problem to suppress. It's not that crazy of a special that they use, as long as it's suppressed properly. Now, we're gonna go ahead and slow this down a little bit and reverse it, so you can see what's going on here. All right. Now, if you look closely, my snipers have 50,000 of them, right? He's got 88,000 stormtroopers, okay? The snipers are getting blasted by the Titan, and it starts focusing on the shredder. Now, watch very closely what happens now. See how they're running straight for the trooper. They start harassing the trooper to start hitting him, getting some population, much needed population off the line right there, so my cannons can go to work. It's very important you see that again. Okay, so watch it one more time so that you can go ahead and see how they adjust and go straight for the trooper right there. Now they're getting hit. The troopers are getting hit. See, look at those blows. 4.5 thousand, 550, 293. The snipers are going to get some hits in there. So it's very important to understand. Look at that. Look, snipers did some more damage right there, and it's constant. It's constant damage towards them. You have to remember that constant damage is very effective, because the stormtroopers, what they'll use is they'll attack the snipers every other 3 shots, but the amount of damage that the snipers are doing to the stormtroopers is more than the stormtroopers are doing to the snipers, because the snipers have a 1.8 times amplified damage amplifier to them to increase the damage output on the stormtroopers, and that's in addition to, if you look real close at all the little sniper bullets towards them, so that's very big, man. That's a very big deal, so don't forget that, man. Like, if you see stormtroopers, don't be shy to use the snipers. Don't be shy to use them. Don't be shy to use filler troops and get cannons in there and go to work, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. It's the end result that matters in the end. Okay, so now that we covered this part, and again, I'm going to cover just the next troop type. But like I said before, whenever you guys are facing stormtrooper mid-rangers, run them, run a 2 front line, try to run a 3 front line, try to do 3 front lines, shredders, tanks, armored soldiers to harass them, middle row, get, get your zombies in there, and then the back row, get, a variation of back row that are high tier only to combat the T-13. Don't put T-11s in there to combat them because they're going to, the troopers are going to eat them. They're going to get cheap kills that way. So as long as you understand that, see, look at it, you can see the orb right there. The orb's right there. But it's so weak now because, I've gotten so many, kills off of them using my snipers and just basically everything else that's going on. And as you can see, if you look closely, look at the rockets. Look at the rockets. I'm gonna show them one more time. Okay, so look, here it goes. They're trying to do their special. Here we go. Now look real close. Okay, look, you can see it right there. They're special right there, right there. And look, it doesn't even hit the back line. It's only going for the front line. Why? Because the cannons are back there to hold it down, baby. So yeah, cannons is where is it at right there with that situation. Okay. So all right, guys, let's go ahead and jump to the next one. All right, so a quick recap of pretty much some of the stuff that we discussed. Definitely have a good bit of snipers to harass them because they're going to obviously do a lot more damage to them than intaking damage. Run multiple front lines, run multiple back lines to guard your Titans from the 3-shot. That way your Titans aren't dying so fast. Do not depend on too much on death cannons against them because the death cannons just aren't going to do that kind of multitude of damage. Use like EMPs, snipers in the mix. You could definitely use shielders. They're really good against them as well. When reinforcing against them, just use, high tier frontline troops and high tier middle row and back row troops. Don't mix up like, tier 11 or tier tier 11 or tier 10 snipers in the mix when because they're just going to get melted. The shredders, tanks, and armor soldiers are highly effective against them. I do know that the axemen definitely run up to them in their face, but they just get so melted really quick by them. So try to stay away from the axemen using axemen against these guys, as they're very effective at melting them. All right, so let's go to the next guy, so in case you dumb motherfuckers ain't paying attention. And for the rocket launchers, Death and Doomsday cannons will be your go-to for those guys. Single point target killers. Use cannon fodder. Just make sure that just have a few EMPs in there, but just bank on their special to attack them. Same with the snipers and same with the shielders. Use cannon fodder like that, with the majority being your Death or Doomsday cannons. Just because they're a T12 does not mean that you cannot use Doomsday cannons to combat them and win. Reinforce with high tier troops, guys, and just make sure that you're using mostly Doomsday cannons or Death cannons. That way, whenever they do a little 3-shot, they're only killing very little back row troops. And LRHP is extremely important against them and the Stormtrooper. Now, let's go ahead and get to the next segment. All right, so now we are going into the gunners. Who are these guys? What do the mid-rangers use them for? And, how do they benefit the mid-rangers? So we're going to go ahead and just cover this particular segment. So the gunner is not a really popular troop among the mid-rangers whenever they're going into Void or into Uranium Mine a lot, because they're basically single point target killers. They don't go for the back line as well as the rockets or the stormtroopers. And again, they just focus on one target at a time. Their special is called Fire Suppression, which is every 5 attacks will enter quick shot status, increasing attack speed by 50% for 3 seconds. In PvE, increases by 120%. So, these guys, they typically use these for events like Medici, a Mother of Doom, Iron Grip and all those little events like that. These are typically their go-tos for getting a high score and doing some serious damage to those things. But as far as them using this, they don't really use these guys much because they're not as effective as going for the back row as the other two, like the Rockets and the Stormtroopers. So it's not an actual pick. But should you find a mid-ranger that wants to be funny and try to pick these guys, The death and the doomsday cannons definitely shut them up really well. And then the occasional EMPs. Not so much the EMPs, but the occasional EMPs also I'll play with them a little bit. Don't run too many shielders against these guys. If you do run a lot of shielders, because they'll eventually when they pierce the front line, they'll start going for the shielders. So just make sure that you have some middle row if that's what you're gonna be doing. But yeah, these guys aren't really all that tough. They're not going to be a go-to pick for the mid-rangers. But let's cover the final segment of their actual troop that they I've seen some use, and let's begin on that last one right now. All right, and the final troop of their little selection is the Demon Rider, or like as we like to all call them, the Bikers. Let's see, let's go ahead and see what they were called at the beginning. Yep, the basic war biker. We call them bikes. So this is also not a very popular troop among mid rangers, but I have seen some people use these guys. So, a couple things. They actually act like as a secondary tank for them because they're actually they have a high HP, and they actually help them a lot to just to survive a little longer by having just a secondary form of a tank. I've seen a mid ranger actually use, oddly enough, gunners and bikes, and he was just so strong that it actually helped him in a certain kind of way. It was a very tanky build, and he would fight this way all the time. But this is also not a very popular troop mid rangers would use, because they're not they just don't do that kind of back row damage like they want to do. These are like basically, single point target killers. And again, it's just like their speed racer skill is in the first 10 seconds after the battle starts, increase attack speed by 60%. Duration is 30 seconds in PvE battle, which is player versus environment. I don't really consider these kind of troops too much of a threat, particularly because they're not really all that, man. They don't really use them so much, but they're also they do their job, and they do focus on just sustaining some damage as a secondary tank. I don't really see about a lot of them using these guys much because it's just not a popular troop among them. Just because of the simple fact that they just can't get to the back line like that. They're focusing on single point targets like they are, like the gunners are, or like the rockets are. But yeah, it's not a really totally popular troop. So should you run into a mid range, which is going to be very rare if they use these bikes, they really just don't really know too much of what they're doing, and they're going to get wrecked. I'm gonna cut this video a little short, because it was originally an hour long, and I didn't want to like just overdo it. So for the next segment, I'm gonna do in part 2. We're gonna cover the debuffs to get for mid rangers, and then we're gonna cover just the other their weaknesses and things like that. But for now, thank you guys for watching this. Well, I guess you could say it's part 3 of anti mid range build, and yeah, but for right now we'll just call it like part 1 of the slapping mid-ranger chronicles. So yep, stay tuned. The next video will be coming up in the next couple of days, guys. Thank you for watching. Sorry for it being so goddamn long, but I'm trying, man. I hope this video taught you dumbasses something. Peace.